From our Toronto studios, this is the Muslim News on Muslim Network TV. Assalamu alaikum, I'm Aishah Ashraf. Our top story for today: a dancer in Kendrick Lamar's Super Bowl halftime show on Sunday has been detained for showing a Palestinian flag during a performance. The Super Bowl is the biggest event in American football. Millions watch the game at its famous halftime show worldwide. NBC reports that the flag had the words Gaza and Sudan written on it. The man was part of a 400-member field cast. He wore black like the other performers and hid the flag until the final moments. The incident happened during Lamar's last song, TV Off. As Lamar stood on a black Grand National car, the dancer pulled out the flag. He then jumped off the stage and ran across the field. Security caught him within 20 seconds and removed him. President Donald Trump has reaffirmed his commitment to expelling Palestinians and buying and owning Gaza, calling it a dangerous and uninhabitable state. Speaking aboard Air Force One on Sunday, he said the U.S. would take control of the enclave and let other countries help rebuild it. The former real estate developer claimed, "We will make it a good site for future development. People will live beautifully, in harmony, and in peace." He also said the 2 million Palestinians who would be forcibly resettled in neighboring countries under his plan would have no right of return. As well, Trump dismissed the idea of Hamas remaining in Gaza. When asked if the U.S. would accept Palestinian refugees, he was non-committal, saying it was a long journey but could be considered case by case. Trump's remarks on Gaza have drawn widespread condemnation from Palestinians, Arab nations, and Western countries. The Palestinian Authority and Hamas have both reiterated that Palestinian land is not for sale. The UN has also warned that under international law, forced displacement of civilians from occupied territory is strictly prohibited, saying the move is tantamount to ethnic cleansing. Hamas's armed wing says it will delay the release of 3 Israeli captives until further notice. Izzadin al-Qassam Brigade spokesman Abu Ubaidah said that over the past 3 weeks, Israel has violated the terms of the ceasefire agreement that came into effect on January 19th. He said Israel has delayed the return of displaced persons to northern Gaza, attacked with bombs and live fire throughout Gaza, and did not bring in aid materials of all kinds as agreed. Hamas says Israel must fulfill its obligations and retroactively compensate for violations over the past few weeks. Officials from the UN Office for the Coordination of Humanitarian Affairs have entered the northern Gaza Strip to inspect Salah Street. This is following Israel's withdrawal from the Netzarim corridor as part of a ceasefire deal with Hamas that went into effect on January 19th. This was after more than a year and 3 months of occupation. The Netzarim corridor was set by the Israeli army to separate Gaza into northern and southern areas and prevent displaced Palestinians from returning home. Hamas called the Israeli withdrawal from the Netzarim corridor an indication of the failure of Israel's war goals. The withdrawal also comes after Israel and Hamas completed their 5th exchange on Saturday, with 3 Israeli captives released in return for 183 Palestinian prisoners. The January 19 ceasefire halted Israel's genocide that has killed more than 46,000 Palestinians, most of them women and children, and left the enclave in ruins. The International Criminal Court issued arrest warrants in November for Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu and its former Defense Minister Yoav Gallant for war crimes and crimes against humanity in Gaza. Israel also faces a genocide case at the International Court of Justice for its war on Gaza. The Trump administration has ordered the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau to halt most operations. Acting head Russell Vought directed staff to stop supervision, enforcement, and stakeholder engagement immediately. Vought, who was confirmed as director of the Office of Management and Budget last week, claims the CFPB's operations are not necessary in the current fiscal climate. He cited the Bureau's $711.6 million balance as excessive and announced that it would not seek new funding from the Federal Reserve. Established under former President Barack Obama after the 2008 financial crisis, the CFPB was designed to protect consumers from financial abuses. The Trump administration's move effectively weakens the agency, though eliminating it would require congressional approval. Egg shortages are forcing some grocery stores to ration purchases across the United States. In some locations, discount retailer Lidl capped a number of egg brands at 24 per customer. In others, a number of Trader Joe's stores limited to 1. Specialty eggs like cage-free and organic remain unaffected for the time being. CEO of the American Egg Board, Emily Metz, says the shortage is due to an outbreak of the bird flu for which there is no treatment or vaccine. Once the virus was detected, entire flocks were culled. The industry lost nearly 50 million hens last year. In the past month alone, 14 million have been affected. However, in spite of the rising costs of eggs due to the shortage, farmers are working to distribute eggs where they are needed most. Metz is reassuring consumers that shortages will be temporary and localized. Attempted murder case against Rushdie attacker begins. Details come after the break. Stay tuned and we will be right back. Welcome back. Prosecutors in a New York court this week will present their case against a New Jersey man accused of attacking author Salman Rushdie. Hadi Matar has been charged with attempted murder and assault. He has pleaded not guilty to the charges. In August 2022, Matar allegedly stabbed Rushdie on stage at an arts festival, leaving him blind in one eye. Following his arrest, he said in an interview that he had read some pages of Rushdie's 1988 novel, The Satanic Verses. Matar has accused the author of attacking Islam. Rushdie has faced threats for decades for the book, which has been described as blasphemous and insulting towards Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, and his wives, whom Muslims revere. Rushdie has said he has no regrets about his work and remains proud of the Satanic Verses. A federal court has blocked the administration of President Donald Trump from sending 3 Venezuelan immigrants held in New Mexico to Guantanamo Bay, Cuba. Judge Kenneth J. Gonzalez granted a temporary restraining order. The government, however, opposes it. The men were allegedly targeted due to suspected ties to the Tren de Aragua gang. Their lawyers say the allegations are false. Attorneys filed for an emergency order. They argued that the uncertainty over legal access justified blocking the transfer. Jessica Vosberg, the detainees' lawyer, said the ruling is only a short-term relief and will be reviewed in the coming weeks. Bangladesh has launched a major security operation following violent protests triggered by a speech from exiled former Prime Minister Sheikh Hasina. Addressing her supporters via Facebook from India, Hasina called the current transitional government illegal and urged protests. Dubbed Operation Devil Hunt, the crackdown has led to the arrest of 1,308 people, mostly linked to Hasina's Awami League party. In Ghazipur, 65 people, including 40 Awami League members, were detained after attacks left 20 students injured. Security forces have set up checkpoints nationwide. Interim leader Muhammad Yunus, who took charge after last year's student-led uprising that ousted Hasina, has established a new command center for swift security responses. Meanwhile, protesters torched the museum home of Bangladesh's founding leader, Sheikh Mujibur Rahman. The situation has strained ties with India. Bangladesh's foreign ministry summoned India's acting high commissioner, criticizing India for allowing Hasina's political activities. India, in return, condemned the attack on Mujibur Rahman's residence. The Bangladesh government dismissed India's comments as undesirable, stating that it does not interfere in India's internal affairs and expects the same in return. Security forces continue operations to restore order amid escalating tensions. Authorities in Libya have found nearly 50 bodies and 2 mass graves in the country's southeastern desert. Officials say the number of victims could be as high as 70. 19 bodies were found on a farm in the district of Kufra, and later, a second mass grave with over 30 bodies was discovered in a migrant detention center in the same city. A charity helping migrants said some of the victims had been shot before being buried. Libya has become a major transit point for migrants seeking to leave Africa and the Middle East for Europe. This is amid instability caused for more than a decade by a 2011 NATO-backed uprising that toppled Muammar Gaddafi. Competing governments and armed groups continue to cause chaos, worsening the plight of migrants seeking to escape. Human traffickers have stepped in to exploit and smuggle migrants across its borders with 6 neighboring nations. The UN and rights groups have documented widespread abuse of migrants in Libya. This includes torture, forced labor, and sexual violence. Many migrants are also held in detention centers where they face horrific conditions. Iran celebrated the 46th anniversary of the 1979 Islamic Revolution on Monday. Tens of thousands gathered in the capital, Tehran, marching from Inqilab Square to Azadi Square. President Masoud Pezeshkian and top officials joined the march, chanting anti-US and anti-Israel slogans. Missiles and satellites were displayed along the route. Protesters trampled an Israeli flag while waving Iranian, Palestinian, Yemeni, Hezbollah, and Hashd al-Shabi flags. After reaching Azadi Square, leaders delivered speeches marking the revolution that toppled Shah Mohammad Reza Pahlavi. The 1979 uprising, led by Ayatollah Ruhollah Khomeini, replaced Iran's pro-US monarchy with an Islamic republic, shifting its policies away from the West. The revolution reshaped Iran's political and social landscape, influencing the broader Middle East. That's all from our Toronto studios. Thank you for watching Muslim News. We are a community channel dedicated to bringing you stories you can trust. Please like, share, and subscribe to our content. You can also comment to let us know what you think of our coverage. You can donate now by visiting muslimnetwork.tv/donate. For more content, keep watching Muslim Network TV. Salam.